Hey Ashley, how are you?
I'm okay.
Good. How was your week?
It was interesting, I guess. Um, I mean, I know we talked last week about just how crazy I've been feeling lately
Right.
and just feeling really busy and like there's a lot on my plate. And my boss this week asked me to take on another project and
Mm.
um, so I don't know. I feel like that kind of just sent me into more of a whirlwind of things to do.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like that kind of really messed with me this week.
You feel like it messed with you? Can
Mm-hmm.
you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. Well, I think I already feel like I have all the things that I can do. Filling my day and my week and my month, and um, he asked me to do this other extra project at work, and it's for our corporate office. And so it's like, I don't know, how do you say no to your boss when they ask you to do something? And I didn't feel like I could say no to him. And so, but I know that like taking this on is just going to make me even more of a crazy person. I don't know how I'm going to get it all done. It's just, I feel like it's one thing after like another lately, and I don't know when I'm gonna get a break now that I'm taking this on.
Why do you think that you have an issue saying no to him in light of the fact that you know that it's going to cause more chaos? Do you have any thoughts or insight into what's causing that?
Mm, well, I mean, it's your boss. Like when your boss asks you to do something, you say yes. I mean, I don't, and he's just so demanding all the time. It's not like if I don't think that he's a person who I can sit down and talk to. He's not reasonable all the time, so I just had to say yes. And I don't want him to think that I don't like my job or that I don't want to do my job.
Right.
I want him to see me as a good employee, to like me. I mean, he's the one who's responsible if I get promoted or not. So what happens if I say no? Who knows? It's
Totally.
mm,
It's an honest situation, an honest feeling. Some bosses
mm,
are worse than others, and
yeah.
you would know your boss. Well, remember how last week we spoke about having practical tools to deal with our emotions in those
Mm-hmm.
situations?
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a good time to show you how to, and using this example,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of give you some tools that maybe next time when your boss or somebody else asks you to do something that would kind of send you into the spin that you say you went into.
Mm-hmm.
Some practical tools to help you see the situation so
Mm-hmm.
that you can feel um, capable of dealing with it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it does.
So this is a thought record sheet,
Mm-hmm.
and basically there's 7 different spheres which we're going to go over. And just as an example, the situation here is, what would you define it to be? Is that you wanted to work on in regards to your boss? How would you say, what's the situation?
Well, he asked me to take on this extra project, and um,
The boss
right.
asked you to take on an extra project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It happened at work. It wasn't, anywhere else.
Okay. And so when he did, how
Mm-hmm.
did that make you feel? Well, like when he came to you in the
Mm-hmm.
office and said, "Ashley, I want you to take on it." What went through your mind? What were the feelings and emotions that you had?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was anxious
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Um,
Anything else?
anxious. I mean, I was thinking a lot of thoughts about, well, what if I do this or what if I do this and all that. And so those things kind of just made me a little like scared.
Okay.
Um,
Scared.
felt frantic.
Okay. Frantic. On the three of those, how
Mm-hmm.
on a scale from 0 being the least and 100 being the most intense. How anxious did you feel in that moment?
Oh, 90.
90? Okay. And what about scared?
Scared, maybe a 70.
70, and then frantic?
Maybe 70.
Okay. Did you notice anything in your body physically in those moments?
I felt like my heart just started racing, and like my body just like got very tense.
Your body
My
tensed up?
muscles just tensed.
All throughout your body?
Yeah, especially in like my arms and my hands.
In the arms and hands. That's good, helpful to be aware of. So you mentioned just a moment ago that you had a bunch of different thoughts that came up. What were some of those thoughts that went through your mind?
Well, I think the first thought I thought was, no, I can't do that. But then, I was thinking, what will he think of me if I do say no? And I'm already so busy, just thinking about how busy I already am. Just thinking, just things like, well, if I don't do this, he might fire me, or, if I don't do this, I might not get promoted, or, he might not choose me for those special projects in the future. Or, but then, also just thinking, how am I going to get all this done? How am I going to fit this in with everything else?
Totally.
Yeah.
Those are
that kind of stuff.
pretty natural thoughts in that situation when you have a boss, and I think most people, myself included, have had that experience with the boss asking us when we already feel stressed out and overwhelmed. And so it's good that you're aware, and we're gonna help you get, when that situation arises next time, into a place where you won't be as frantic. And so what I'm doing now with the worksheet, where we're filling this out together, it'll be a helpful tool that we'll send you home to do, so that through, whether it's your boss or something else like this comes up during the week, you'll be able to sit down, pull this out, and really process what you're feeling and what happened, and any lies that you might be believing about the situation, and it'll give you a practical tool to be aware. Hey, I'm feeling anxious. I feel afraid, and point out some of the things that are untrue. So sometimes, what are the facts that support the thoughts that you had that your boss or won't promote you? Do you have anything that's actual? Because sometimes our thoughts, what we feel strongly about, aren't factual. And so, is there any things that you can back up those thoughts that you had that are factual?
Well, he's passed over people before that don't pull their weight.
That's a good one. Passed over some other guys before. As you mentioned, fear of maybe losing your job. Has anybody lost their job?
I mean, yeah, there's people who have been laid off lately.
Okay, laid off. Those are two good ones. You can think of anything else? Any other facts that might keep you from getting promoted?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just his personality too. It's not warm and inviting. So, I don't know if that is helpful.
That's helpful. Do you have any facts going from there that provide evidence that that against those unhelpful thoughts? Is there people that have been promoted and said no, or are there other people that you still have your job, things like that? Is there any other facts that will prove what you're believing, those unhelpful thoughts, or that go against those?
That's a
Yeah, a lot of people stumble here.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm thinking like, how am I gonna get this all done, and that he's gonna fire me if I don't do this, then maybe just the fact that like I've figured it out before.
That's a good one.
I've been working for him for a lot of years, 9 years now, and I think we have like I said, he's not warm and inviting, but we have a good working relationship, I guess.
Okay, those are really good. Good working relationship. Working 9 years there. You've figured it out before. What about in this current situation? Have you started the project? Are you done with it?
Like, have I started the project he asked me to do?
Yes.
Just the very beginning of it.
Okay, so you're just getting started.
Yeah.
Are you able to? So you started it successfully, and you still have time to do some of the other things that you have to do in life.
Right, I do. I feel like this is, just added weight or,
Okay. All right. So, what about well, that's where it says to stop and take a breath, because that's a lot. You just laid out your situation. You're discussing the emotions that came up and some of the facts of the situation, and it can seem overwhelming. So even when you go home and do this, it's good to take, like I would call it, a gentleness break. Maybe have a cup of coffee or sit down and do something that you enjoy, because when these emotions come up or thoughts or feelings, sometimes it takes a toll. It could be exhausting. So give yourself grace in the process.
It's hard for me, so thank you for saying that.
Totally. And so far as the big picture, is there another way of seeing the situation? If you were to have a friend, per se, going through what you're going through, what would you say to them?
I would probably tell them to maybe look at their team. Like, they don't have to do it all by themselves.
That's really good. Look for help with the team.
Maybe talk to their boss about maybe changing like the time frame, or just maybe some compromise.
So yeah, talking with the bosses and out of the picture. That's really good. Those are really good. So is there anything else with that might, in the big picture, be not as scary as you might have perceived it in the moment, or even after we've talked?
Yeah, well, I think like just even talking to you, I'm realizing that like when my boss asked me to do this project, I like put it all on myself and just realized, thought that I'm the one that has to get it done, and I only have this much time, and I already have all these other things to do, but I kind of forgot about my support system, in and out of work, but just that, I think it's hard sometimes, I feel like I have to do everything, and just to step back and realize that I don't have to do everything, and that I can rely on other people.
Totally.
I just, I wasn't really thinking about that in the moment, and it just sent me into a frantic craze rather than sitting down and thinking about how I could solve the problem, so.
Right. Well, good job. I think our time is almost up, but before we go, I think it's important, is before you mentioned being anxious at a 90-degree level, now that we've talked and seen it from a different outcome and seen some of the things that weren't helpful, how would you say right now, looking back, how anxious are you about facing that situation again?
I mean, still a little nerve-wracking, because it is adding something else, but I think realizing that maybe I don't have to do it all myself, that kind of takes my anxiety down maybe to a 60,
hey,
90.
Good.